10, 9.
You want answers? I want the truth.
Get ready for two guys who can't handle the truth.
I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
But we can. Dave Palumbo, Chris Aceto. RxMuscle.com presents Heavy Muscle Radio.
Welcome to another episode of Heavy Muscle Radio. I'm Dave Palumbo, and I'm joined, as always, by the technician, Chris Aceto, on this last and final day of August 31st, 2020. And it was my daughter's first birthday 2 days ago.
You guys had like a splash? You have like an amusement park in the backyard.
Amanda called up and she rented this like.
Oh, did you rent it? I thought it was a permanent fixture. Dave.
No, yeah, I wish it was a permanent fixture. My kids love it. It's a good idea. It's amazing, this thing. But she didn't get to really use it. My other two kids really used it. I actually went on it.
I know. I saw you.
I know. I wasn't going to do it. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get hurt.
That's what I thought, Dave. The first thing I saw you, I said he's going to get hurt.
For 2 days, I didn't do it. I said, I'm not going on. I'm going to get hurt. And then the very last minute, when the house ran out of water, because we used our water system.
Yeah.
We used up the whole water tank. I'm like, all right, I'll try it. And then they're like, there's no water. So they had to run a hose from my well. And I did it. And I was like, this isn't so bad. I didn't get hurt. You know what it was? I was always afraid to do rides like that because every time I went on them, because my shoulders were so bad in years past, I couldn't stabilize myself right. And so it was very uncomfortable. And I wound up, feeling like I was going to fall off. I didn't have control. Now I don't have any pain in my shoulders, knock on wood. So it was like nothing. It was like I felt like I was like Logan's age again.
I was still worried for your shoulder. I thought you were going to blow it out. I'm dead serious. When I saw the video, I cringed. I'm like, Dave's going to get hurt.
Let me see if I can get this thing going. Hold on. I got to get this up for the people who are too lazy.
I thought you were going full blown.
All right. First of all, anyone who hasn't joined Chris and I's Instagrams, followed it, go follow our Instagrams. I'm huge 285. He's the real technician. All right, there's my plug. Here it goes.
Here it is. Uh-oh.
Watch this, Chris. My daughter got in the way. I grabbed her. Look at that. How's that for dexterity?
Dave, I'm waiting.
It's pretty good, right? I was
still waiting for the shoulder to blow out.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Oh, then I saw that picture of you. I said, you look like, put that picture up, Dave.
Oh.
I said you look just like John Travolta there from Welcome Back, Kotter.
It's funny because my uncle used to always say, every time I'd go to holidays, he'd be like, John Travolta, John Travolta, John Travolta. But that was when I had short hair. Then he actually started calling me Mel Gibson. That's why I said Mel Gibson from Lethal Weapon with the long hair.
Oh, yeah. No, I see the Travolta.
I still get the Travolta me. But this is when I really just first started bodybuilding. Seriously, I was probably like maybe about $180, $190 there.
And how old are you there?
Man, doesn't think I was weighed that much there, but I did. I was 20. I know exactly how old I was. I was the year I graduated was 1990. Graduated college, excuse me. So I was 21 or 22, somewhere around there.
Young pop.
21. I told you, I had gone from 230 pounds to. Excuse me, I went from 130 pounds to 135 pounds at my lowest running, and then I was up to about 185, 190 here. So it was 60 pounds.
Are you sipping on my coffee isolized protein?
No, I'm not, but I'm going to send that to you. That's one of our secret flavors coming out that you just revealed. Now, this is a new branch chained, our new amino evolved flavors we're coming out with. I'm not allowed to say them, Amanda, right?
Oh.
No, I'm not allowed to tell you. They're a secret, but they're good. I'm sipping it right here.
Make a coffee one and send me that too.
Coffee aminos probably wouldn't be good, but the coffee isolized we're going to come out with is going to be really good. But I'm not giving you the details of it. But that's me. That's me in 1990.
Yeah.
You know what? I was such an idiot because I had short hair my whole life, and then decided to become a rebel the last year of my college, which is when I was going for my med school interviews. So I went to these medical school interviews. I got about 3 or 4 interviews I went for, which is good because it's hard enough to get into the school, but it's hard to get an interview too. So I went to the interview. I had these long hair, so I was like slicking it back, and I figured, well, you know what? If they don't like me, then I don't want to go to the school. If they won't take me with long hair, then you know, I was like in this like rebellious.
I mean, do they count your looks on those interviews?
I would think so. I thought I came off well on the, you know, I got into one school, so someone liked me. It's very hard. People don't realize, and I don't know what it is nowadays, but back in the 90s, it was extremely difficult to get into medical school. I think statistics were like 1 in every 1,000 people who applied got in or something. Yeah, it was like a ridiculous amount of people that applied. So a lot of guys had to either take the year off, or they would try to apply to like go to like Grenada or these like
I knew you were going to say that.
the Caribbean.
What about so the
or they would go to osteopathic school. You know, that was easier to get into.
1 out of 1,000.
I believe that was the statistics.
So what would the 999 other people do? Not become doctors or not go to?
No, they would go to the osteopathic school, chiropractic school. They would take a year off, and you could take these courses to like enhance. Here's a funny story. One of the guys I was very close with, this guy Steve Svalak, he didn't get in the first year. He didn't get into any men's school, so he worked in a car wash. Ran a car wash for the whole year. The kid was a mechanical genius with his hands. So when he got into school, it was this, you know, he had applied the year before we did. So he got in, he was in my class. We used to go to the gym together. He looked exactly like Andreas Munzer. The guy is like one of the premier plastic surgeons in Beverly Hills now.
Crazy.
This is the guy that said not only could he not get into school, but he actually, in the second year, right before you start your rotations, you have to take this test. It's like the part 1 of the boards, the medical boards. And he didn't do well enough on it because he wasn't a good test taker, and they made him like repeat this, like repeat. He had to go like summer school almost, you know. The kid was really smart too, and I just think I don't know, maybe he didn't have confidence in himself. I get a great score on the thing, and then I drop out after like 3 months later.
Yeah, I'm gonna be a bodybuilder instead. Yeah. What about osteopaths? Why was osteopathic medicine easier to get into?
Because I actually think osteopathic school I would have liked better because, you know, they teach you some chiropractic in there. Yeah. But it's, you know, they snub the nose, the doctor, it's medical fraternity here, you know, they don't see them as like real doctors.
Yeah. My mother always told me there was a hospital near my house called the Osteopathic Hospital of Maine. It was a hospital.
Yeah.
And my mother used to tell me when I was a kid, they're not real doctors.
Yeah. Which is stupid. But, you know, and it's usually because of that, it's so much harder for them to get residencies. That usually the smarter kids get into the if you see a doctor who's actually an osteopath and is like in a high position, it's usually because they're really smart. Getting into school is like it's like a formula almost, you know. I'm shocked, you know, that I got in because I had good grades, but I didn't have great grades. Mm-hmm. And I had good MCAT scores, which is like the SAT. But I didn't have great ones. And I had like maybe because I was well-rounded, I had sports and, you know. Yeah. I wrote this like essay that my father rewrote for me. He didn't really rewrite. He just spruced it up. Because I wrote an essay about my mom, like losing my mother and what it meant. And it was good, but my father made it like amazing. Okay.
Yeah. You still have it?
You know, I don't.
I'd love to read it. If you
I would too. I don't know.
Because I'd like to read it because he spruced it up.
Yeah. He added a little twinge to it. So I don't know if that helped. You know, it's everything together. You know, I think. And then of course, you know, you go for an interview and they see your personality. Yeah. So that helps. You know, obviously, you know, I was, you know, whatever. I don't know. I got lucky, I guess. Plus, you know what? I went to a good school. Going to a school that's like a pre-med factory, small liberal arts college. They have a high percentage of people getting into med school. That definitely helped too, I think, you know, so. Mm-hmm. And then, of course, they did everything right, and then they didn't stay in school. So.
I'm done. I'm out of here.
Yeah. I learned enough now to help people get in shape for bodybuilding competitions, you know. It's pretty much what it amounted to. So I hate that, you know, to report this, another death in our industry. Chris.
Yeah, a good friend of yours.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a good friend to our community. Really, is what it amounted to. Ric Drasin died. You guys probably follow his YouTube channel.
How old was he, Dave?
76 years old.
Met him.
I didn't know he was 76, but he was 76.
Been around forever, man.
Yeah, he was, a bodybuilder back in the day with Arnold and those guys. He trained with all those guys. He was into the professional wrestling. He did for a while. He probably
what was he, the Hulk body double or something like that? Or
what they did was back in the Incredible Hulk TV series days. Lou Ferrigno was the Hulk, but there was a transition when Bruce Banner would, or actually it was called David Banner back then, would transition into the Hulk. There was a middle. It was like they didn't have like all the stuff they have today, stuff. Right? So they would have like an in between Hulk, and that was called the Demi Hulk, and he played that. And I guess there was an episode where he got stuck. Banner he couldn't get to the Hulk, but he couldn't get back to Banner, and he was in the Demi Hulk. And it was a whole episode devoted to him, and he starred in that episode. Actually, I actually put the picture up. I did a tribute video to him on RxMuscle, so you guys can check that out. I put that picture up of him as the Demi Hulk. He looked just like Ferrigno. He looked like a thinner Ferrigno. It was crazy the way they put the makeup on him. It was really, really impressive. He did that, but I think he's probably most well known for doing the Gold's Gym logo.
Yeah.
Remember the logo?
Yeah. Did he do the World Gym too?
He did the World Gym one too.
Crazy.
He was very good friends with Joe Gold. He doodled it on a napkin, believe it or not, and it stuck. Is that crazy? How he probably did it in 2 seconds.
Yeah, we talked about in the heyday. We talked about it in the show sometime. The numbers, I forget what they were doing at Gold's Gym. The T-shirts in Venice a day.
Right, but this is before Ed took over. I think. Let me see if I can pull this picture up here.
No, I know, but people were going into when Ed had Gold's. When I was at Gold's, they would do $30,000 a day in T-shirt sales.
Were they really doing that much?
They were doing $30,000 a day from that store.
Ed's going to text me. He's going to be like, "Yeah, we did that easy."
30,
and they were giving away.
What is that a month? 10 to 300? Is that $1 million a month?
And Ed, was giving away half the merchandise to all the bodybuilders, the top level bodybuilders who were doing photo shoots in there. Bob Bonham, tried to charge The Rock $13 for a T-shirt. You heard that story, right?
No, never heard.
Greg Valentino told the story. The Rock came in to work out at Gold's, and
in
Carlo
Jersey,
Philip Jersey. Carlo, not at Gold's, excuse me, at a Strong and Shapely gym. And Carlo Filipponi used to work there behind the counter. And Carlo was getting ready for the Junior USA. So The Rock said, "Wow, you look good. Are you working now?" He goes, "No, I'm just about to train." He goes, "Why don't we train together?" So Carlo trains with The Rock. And Bob wasn't at the gym, Bonham. He was, I don't know, he was still home. He hadn't gotten there. So they finished their workout. The Rock's in the locker room washing up.
What Carl's year is it? Take me back to what year?
I don't remember. Probably 10 years ago. So Carlo's in the, at the front desk hanging out. Bob walks in. He's like, "Oh, good, Bob, you're here. The Rock's in the locker room. We just did a workout." He's like, "Oh, good, because you know what? He owes me $14. Or $13 or something like that." And
for what? For a T-shirt.
So that's what I say. I said, "Carl, what do you owe him for?" So he goes, The Rock comes out of the locker room. He goes, "Hey, Bob, thanks, for the great, appreciate the workout and everything." He goes, but Bob's like, "Excuse me, you owe me $13. So The Rock's like, he's taken back. The Rock doesn't want to owe anyone money. He doesn't need to. He's got plenty. "Bob, what do I owe you money for?" "Oh, remember I gave you a T-shirt last time you were in here?" I guess The Rock didn't have a shirt to wear, something like that. And Bob threw him a Strong and Shapely T-shirt. You would think Bob would want to be like, keep it, wear it, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
put it on your Instagram in 10 years. With
do you think Ed would have charged The Rock for the Gold Gym TikTok?
Ed would give anything away back in the day.
Well, because it was marketing, it was franchising. Ed had the first idea, but there was pinstriping around all the mirrors that said Gold's Gym. I didn't know why they did that. Ed told me they did that so when they would do the photo shoots at the gym, you would see the golds. Otherwise, you wouldn't know what gym you were at. Brilliant.
Yeah, it is brilliant.
Anyway, that's a funny story. Better when Valentino tells it, actually. But that logo was drawn by Ric Drasin. So, and he had a very popular YouTube channel. He was really an artist is really what he was. He would call himself a bodybuilder, I'm sure, but he was an artist. He could draw anything. He actually drew me an original using the Gold's Gym logo guy. He drew me like an original thing and said, "Hey, Dave, best wishes," or something like that, Rick, and signed it, and numbered it. And so I have an original Ric Drasin piece of art I have hanging in my my office, which is pretty cool. It wasn't doodled on a napkin either. It was on a nice piece of paper.
See, that napkin would have been a great addition to the Bodybuilding Hall of Fame. Can you imagine that, Dave?
I wonder if it still exists. I wonder if Rick has it somewhere.
Napkin that Ric Drasin sketched the Gold's Gym logo on.
There you go. Could put it up on put it in the museum.
Next
You know,
to the yeah.
Well, now
Valentino.
that I have all this new property we bought, I have a space we can build the Hall of Fame now.
Like I've been saying, Hall of Fame for years.
Yeah, man, just chuckling. We could put it in the gym. How about if we in the gym we're building? We'll build the Hall of Fame around the perimeter.
You need that Dorian. You get the Dorian pullover machine.
Yeah,
Ask him to
that's right.
sell that.
Yeah, I think Weinberger has that gym, that machine.
That pullover machine.
Yeah, I think. I don't know if he has the machine, but he does have the Nautilus pullover machine. The Dorian. I think he bought it for Dorian, so when Dorian would come to the gym, he could use it.
Samir can give you the program that he refused to sign in 1982 at the Olympia.
Cost him the Olympia. Cost him the Olympia.
Where the judge came up to him at 1 a.m. Would you sign this? He says, "I promise everybody, no more.
Yeah.
I can't sign anything. I'm too tired. I got prejudging tomorrow."
Ay. Black Panther died. You heard that?
The whole world heard that.
Yeah, terrible, right?
Amazing.
No one even knew he was sick. Colon cancer, 43.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's why I tell people, get your colon. I'm going for a colonoscopy. Did I tell you?
No, you didn't tell me.
Yeah, I'm not.
You should Instagram live it, Dave. People would like to see it.
Instagram it live. Yeah, maybe I can get someone to film it while I'm getting that thing shoved up my butt, the camera.
I told Dave today. I drove by. I do this maybe every 5 years, 4 years.
Yeah.
I drove by the Rite Aid pharmacy that I used to go to get interferon when I had stage 3 melanoma.
Oh, yeah, you must get the queasies.
It's just the most bizarre. It's not an out of body experience, but it's just the most bizarre thing to drive by the pharmacy.
Yeah, it was like you're home away from home for a while. I bet you knew everyone there. You were there every day.
It was just like the worst thing to have to go into.
Through. Yeah, no, I know. But you got to get the colonoscopies. Look, I put it off. I probably should have had it a couple of years ago.
What age is that?
50, they say. No, I don't have any colon cancer in my family, but there was cancer in my family. But my father had polyps when he was later in life, but nothing cancerous. They just clipped them out. So I don't know. I hope I don't have any. I'm convinced that my fiber lysis protected and safeguarded my colon. I hope. Yeah,
you're the fiber king.
I hope.
You should have no problems.
Yeah, that's right. Putting a lot of pressure on myself.
She must think that you have no problems with the fiber.
I don't know. I hope so. I don't have any symptoms of like having
you don't have a coffee flavored fiber lysis, do you?
No, I don't think that would taste good. But
I'll buy that if you.
It's funny because I have this defibrillator, because I have the arrhythmia, so I have to go get the colonoscopy done in a hospital as opposed to just like usually I do it in the office.
Mm-hmm.
I think they go to this hospital, and now the new thing is, you can't go into a hospital without them testing you for COVID. So now I got to go back and I got to get tested the Monday before the colonoscopy. I'm getting it on like a Thursday or Friday. I think it was Thursday. I'm getting the colonoscopy, so I got to go Monday to this hospital. And I have to get tested for COVID, which I'm not happy about because I don't want to be in their database. Not that I think I have it, but they say don't get tested. I don't know. The conspiracy theory people say don't get tested. Don't get into the database.
Bill Gates will have your name and home address. He'll add extra chlorine to your pool.
That's right. So I don't know. So I got to do that. That's the end of September. I have a little ways off. I'm not really that nervous about it, but who the hell wants to get some camera shoved? I have this. I have this. Well, they're shoving it up in the butt.
It's terrible to say it like that.
Well, how else am I supposed to say it?
You're in medical school.
What am I supposed to say? They're going to put the camera up my anus? I mean,
you have to use euphemisms. You have to use things like.
I'm trying to add humor to the whole thing.
Not funny.
It is funny.
My grandmother died of colon cancer. It's not funny.
It's funny in the sense of what they're doing. I'm trying to give. I'm getting yelled at. I'm giving good advice to the people out there that they should get it, but I have to make some humor to it because so to take away the stigma of it.
The fear.
No, a lot of people don't go for colonoscopies because they're afraid of it, and they shouldn't be. They are idiots, but I have to. It's my job to assuage everything and make them feel good about the whole procedure, and not be worried about it. That's why I have to chronicle it.
You have
If Dave Palumbo could do it,
going.
if Dave Palumbo could do it, everyone could do it, right? I got to have the peanut gallery giving their opinion in the background there. So anyway, Rick, it's very sad about Rick, and obviously Black Panther. You don't want to lose anyone. What else is going on? I have a whole list. I had to make a list. There was so many things going on. So I interviewed Gary Udit yesterday. We obviously have the North American Championships coming up this weekend. We might as well talk about bodybuilding while we're at it, right? This is the bodybuilding podcast. And Gary has been jumping through hoops trying to get this this thing off the road. You know, they've been.
Did you ask him why he had to change? Did they force him to change the hotel? Did they can't? Yeah.
Well, this is the deal. You know, the hotel they normally have it at, that really nice one.
The one you love it. You love that.
Yeah, one. I love it. We were talking about it, Gary and I. But, I mean, he's had it there for years. They're out of business. Can you believe it? Because of COVID. Yeah.
What's the name of it?
They were sold. It was the Sheridan Station Square. It's being sold because they couldn't stay open, and they told Gary, "Look, we can't do it. We just we're not
It's being sold and maintained as a hotel. Or are they going to change it into?
No, I think it's another hotel chain is buying them or something like that. So I don't know how it's. Gary said they're in the process of redoing it, and it's being sold.
That's crazy.
And they told them that they couldn't. You know, that was a very expensive area that hotel was in, and so I think it was very expensive to maintain it. I mean, the room rate there was very high. I mean, even with the special rate, I think it was like $250 a night. Now, people stayed there, myself included, because it was so convenient. But it was not like a cheap hotel. So I imagine for them to have to charge those rates, they probably had a very high overhead there. So when you're not in business for 6 months, that can put you out of business. You know. Yeah. So he moved it to the Wyndham, and then they told him because the governor, I guess, passed down some things saying originally it was supposed to be no more than 200 people were allowed in the venue, but now they said no more than 20. So he couldn't hold the show in the venue. So he said the only other option was to take it outside. So he's like, well, we'll hold it outside. So evidently, from what Gary told me, he was like, I said, let's rent a tent, but where are we going to put the tent? They need a parking lot, right? Mm-hmm. So I guess Jim Mannion and him knew some guy, this valet, who said they knew someone who owned the parking lot. So the guy's like, yeah, you can have it here. So they had that, and they got to bring in generators to run the lights and all the, there's no air conditioning or anything. They're going to have fans, I guess, but they have to rotate people in and out of there because they can only have so many people. Even outside now, there's a rule. You can only have so many people. So it's, he jumped through a lot of hoops to make this happen. And, I take my hat off to him because you know what? He could have just canceled it.
Just to say, he could have pulled the plug.
Yeah, but you know what? He knew how important it was. Matter of fact, it's funny, but you would think that there would be less people competing this year because of COVID. He actually has a record number of people. There was 1,400 people in the show over 4 days.
Crazy.
Yeah, crazy. But that's great. Look, there's a lot of pro cards up for grabs. You'd be crazy not to do the show this, But think about it. These people have been dining, some of them, for months and months and months. I have a lot of people on the show, so I know. These people are troopers to be able to stick with it, that long and everything like that. It really was it's not an easy thing to continue dieting when you don't know when the show is going to happen or if it's going to happen. So, but then there were people on his Instagram, like bashing him, saying, "Oh, there's no," because the newest thing is there can be no crowd there because the state handed down. The governor said it had a meeting and said, "Nope, can't have more than 25 people in the arena." I said, "Gary, you have 25 staff members. What are you going to do?"
Even outdoors.
Even outdoors, you can't have them. But now they've changed that rule. So they're going to be playing round robin, people in and out, in and out, in and out. The prejudging finals, you're done. Go home. And it's better than nothing. But you know what? People complaining, "Oh, I can't see my friends compete. Oh, I can't see my husband compete. There's no audience." He's trying to set up a live stream that there'll be so people can watch from the hotel. But the bottom line is, you think that Gary doesn't want to sell tickets and make a shitload of money? Of course he does.
Yeah, a lot of stress.
He's lost his shirt this year. You know how many shows of his were canceled? Of course he wants to sell tickets and wants to have vendors. He can't do it. They're not letting him. So don't bash the guy. You should be applauding him for still holding the show.
Yeah, a lot of stress.
And look, I've had my run-ins with Gary in the past, but this is out of his hands. he's bending over backwards to make this happen with a lot of stress involved,
Well,
they
he's
have to
bending
have
over
this.
backwards, maybe getting the colonoscopy. He's over 50 while he's bending over.
There you go. And that Amanda would say that's in poor taste.
Well,
But-
it's midnight. What do you expect?
Yeah. So, anyway, so the Masters Pro World Championship or the Masters Pro World Championships are going to be taking place this weekend, as well as the North American Championship, which is the Open and the Masters. So it's a huge show because there's so many different divisions. Then the Masters Nationals will be later this year. I think in October they moved that to.
Mhm.
So this is a big show. This weekend.
1,400, crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, with everything that's been going on and just the whole idea of like, is the show going to go on? The show's going to go on. To get 1,400, I figured, what's the turnout this year? 200, 300?
Yeah. That's what Gary was afraid of. He was afraid no one was going to show up.
Well, I hope he gets good weather.
Yeah. That's what he said.
I mean,
No, he said if it rains, they're going to be busing people back and forth. They have a whole contingency plan set up. But he said that would be a big monkey wrench. That would certainly make things very difficult. But it's going to happen. They said we're not giving up. So that's good news. Now I interviewed Tony Doherty. Oh, that's not what I wanted to show you. By the way, subscribe to the RxMuscle channel. There's a little subliminal. But I interviewed Tony Doherty this past week, and also who almost went bankrupt this past year, he admitted, from the cancellation of the Arnold Australia. You don't want to know how much money that cost him to put on. Plus all his shows, his local shows that he holds, pro qualifiers, the whole year is canceled. And you know what he said? There's a very good chance that and like a 90% chance there won't be an Arnold Australia 2021 either.
Dave, I knew you were going to say that.
Because they can't get the international people in there. That's the problem. Australia likes to they'll never open the quarantine. They don't want to ever let anyone in.
Yeah.
So that's a tough one. That's a tough pill to swallow for him. That's his pride and joy, that show.
Yeah, not only that, but you know how it is. It's like if Gary didn't have the North Americas this year, he'd have it next year. But when you have a break in a year, it just throws off the momentum of like the show. Like a lot of people might not. I mean, it's the Arnold. My point is maybe the Arnold may not return to Australia.
Well, think about it. How do you get the competitors there?
No, I mean the year after, Dave. Let's say.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I think if it's up to Gary, if it's up to Tony, they'll be back. But who knows what in Tony's state where he is, because they have different I guess municipalities there. It's different from like where Lee Priest is or the other part. In his area, you can't even. It's like martial law.
Well, you can't go more than 5 kilometers from your house.
You can't. You can only go to you can go to like the park for like 2 hours a day, and that's it. There's a nighttime restriction. You can't go out at all, and it's crazy. And they fine you. There's like $5,000 fines if you don't have a mask on outside. It's like really serious out there. And you think we got it bad in the U.S.? Forget about it. They got it really bad out there. So, and Tony can't even go to the Olympia this year. He does all the interviews backstage usually for them because he's.
But he can't travel.
No, because he can travel, but what they'll do is they'll quarantine him in a hotel when he gets off the plane in Australia for 2 weeks. He'll miss Christmas and New Year's with his family. Because remember, it's at the end of December there. So he's like, I can't do that. I said, it's not worth it, Tony. I said, it's too much aggravation. So, I mean, we think we got it bad. They got it worse over there in Australia. So that's, there's a lot of craziness going on outside. What else do I have out here on my list here? Oh, boy. I got to give kudos to John Hansen, who did a really good interview with Arnold's ex-girlfriend. Did you see that? Barbara Outland Baker. She dated Arnold.
Find her?
I don't know. She wrote a book, and he somehow contacted her. He told me he did it. I watched the interview. He has it on his YouTube channel. And it was really good. She dated Arnold for 6 years. But what I think she did was she interviewed him. Arnold allowed her to come in and interview him like recent when she wrote the book in 2006 or something like that, whatever it was. And re-talked him and asked him all these questions. So the book was accurate. You know what I mean? But she gave some really good insights into Arnold and his relationship with his father, and if she was like a waitress he met in some place, and she was like working her way through school. And Arnold could barely speak English. He had just come over there, you know. So she was with him from then till through all his Olympia runs, you know. Through 70, I think 69 through.
What was the most insightful thing you learned?
I'm trying to think. I don't know. I guess Arnold was like just like the rest of us, like very immature, you know, when he first, you know, came about. He was a little I don't know. She said that he found himself like he felt empowered by putting other people down and making a joke about it. You know what I mean? And I guess he you know, he still probably likes doing that.
That's some kind of grinning. I'm like, what do you think? He beat down?
But she would yell at him after. She'd be like, "That wasn't nice to say that to Franco or this one and that one." Evidently, from what she said, that you know, Weider didn't want to bring Franco over. Arnold was like insistent. Arnold was like, "I need someone to train with. I need Franco." And you know, Joe didn't want to spend the money, you know, because he didn't think that Franco had the obviously the marketing appeal that Arnold had, you know. But he knew Arnold was like depressed because Arnold didn't speak English that well, and he was friends with Franco, so they brought Franco over. But she said he was like, you know, he was, you know how like bodybuilders today are just all they want to do is talk bodybuilding and are immersed in bodybuilding. They don't want to hang out. That's the way Arnold was.
Yeah, of course, you live in it. I mean, just like you were, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
she's like, all he wanted to do was bodybuilding.
Quit med school, Dave. It'd be like, right?
She's like, all he did was talk about bodybuilding, hang out with bodybuilders, and, you know.
Crazy, right?
He was traveling all over, and she was like in school, you know. So she was like, you know, she I don't think she took too kindly to that. I have a feeling that Arnold wasn't so loyal to her, you know, while he was dating her.
Wow.
Got that impression from her, you know, from the way she was revealing that he wasn't that. But it was insightful because she was there, like she knew everyone. She knew all the players. Jack Lane. She told a funny story. Jack Lane, she meets Jack Lane, and she's like, you know, I had bought one of Jack Lane's exercising pieces, you know, back in the 60s when he was marketing on TV. And when I met him, I said, you know, Jack, you know, it's great to meet you and everything like that. And I had ordered one of your, exercise pieces. I never got it. You know, you just took my money and you never sent it to me. And he's like, I didn't. Why didn't you contact me? And he was like all apologetic. And evidently, speaking of marketing, Arnold and her had no money. You know, they were like broke. Arnold was like, would do anything to make money, you know, because there was no money coming in. So Arnold decided he was going to sell these courses online. Like, you know, you sign up, it was expensive. Like, and Arnold would write this whole program for you and everything like that. And basically, Arnold collected all the money, and then he had to send these courses out.
He had no courses ready, or
he had nothing. He had nothing. He had to sit down and just do them because it was good money, and that's how they were supporting themselves. You know, Joe was giving them like advertising pages, and she's like, Arnold did it. I don't know. He sat down and he hammered out all of them. And back then, it wasn't like writing on a computer. You had to like do it longhand and type it. And it was a nightmare. She's like, but he always found a way. She said, even when, you know, I guess he would hang out with a lot of, you know, wealthy people like Joe and a couple stars, and they were like, you got to invest in real estate. So Arnold, you know, bought his first apartment complex, and he lived in the superintendent's, like, no, that's not the right word. The manager's office, the manager's apartment. He lived in. So he lived in the manager's apartment, and then he rented all the other units out. That's like a Chris Aceto move right there.
Yeah. Well, I always say buy a 4-unit, live in one.
Yeah, and that I don't know. I think it was more than 4 units, but
I think it was 12. He had.
Was it 12?
Yeah, it was amazing. Somewhere I read
he made good money from that. She said,
and he flipped it. He sold it. He bought something serious after that.
It was like a Jay Cutler, Chris Aceto movie made there.
Yeah.
Maybe you guys copied him, but. He must have scraped together every nickel he
where do we get the money from?
Yeah, to buy that. Maybe someone even gave him a little extra money as a down payment. But you could do crazy stuff like that back in those days, Chris. You know, the banks would give you a mortgage. You know, like it wasn't so difficult. He probably got Joe to co-sign or something like that.
You could get a mortgage on like easy. I mean, not easy, but the infinitesimal amount of paperwork that you have now was like it was 2 pages then.
Yeah.
3 pages.
So it was, you know, it was interesting.
When I go to a closing game, I always say, I'm buying the building, not the block, right? because the paperwork essentially says, you know, we will own you if you don't pay us.
Right.
It says that on all 100 pages. That's why I have to initial them all.
That's why you don't want to even read it sometimes. It's like, I have a really good picture though. So all the bad news we talk about, I gotta show you a good picture. Let me see if I can pull this thing up here.
Good news.
Who's this?
Is that Nasser? Well, I don't even have my glasses on. Playing golf?
That's Nasser playing golf. Someone sent it to me. They're like, enjoy.
I played with Jack Nicklaus and Sean Ray cheated. Mulligan. He every shot he says mulligan, start over. And I'm only on 200 test here, and I'm 340.
Only on 3,400 milligrams of test.
Let me put on my
protocol. Is this before or after Neelis's insulin protocol to put on 45 pounds?
I wonder what year this was because he doesn't look as blown out in the calves. Nasser had crazy calves.
Oh,
too.
yeah, crazy. He got insulted. Did I ever tell you that story?
He got insulted.
I have a lot of Nasser stories. I always forget.
Dave Palumbo, he's fraud. He never went.
I met Nasser.
Graduated 8th grade.
Listen. I met Nasser in California. I'm trying to think why we hooked up in California somewhere. He came. I was at the Marina Pacific Hotel, and he came and visited me. I cannot figure out why. I don't know if he was going to be in It was going to be in Venice anyway, and we had a mutual friend, and he's like, oh, I'll come by, and he came by with me, my room, or we ate together, and I said, holy man, and he was showing me his calves. His calves were enormous, like he said. I'm like, holy mackerel. I said, are you using synthol on those calves? And he got insulted, but he didn't tell me he got insulted. He told my friend afterwards that he was insulted.
Of course. I said,
why? Yeah, I said, why are you insulted? Why would he be insulted? That was a compliment if he didn't use synthol.
Yeah. No, you're so shocked. You would assume that you have to put synthol.
Well, because he was asking me a million drug questions. You know, Nasser, trying to take a note. It's like, oh, how much insulin do you? How much? So I'm like, I said, Nasser, holy mackerel, look at those calves, and he was like grinning. He had that grin, like, you know, with the one eye that was a little lazy. Like, I got the calves, you know. I said, are those? Do you put synthol on those calves? They're huge. Now, I thought that was a relevant question, given that he had asked me 400 questions before that, right?
You know, you're not allowed to ask him any questions.
No.
He can ask you all the questions, but you can't ask him.
So I said to him, like 2 years later, when we were supposed to be, I said, were you insulted by me asking if you had synthol on your calves? Yes. Very.
Dave, did you guys do an appearance together at the Arnold? Am I imagining that?
At the Arnold?
At the Arnold, like way back. I'm talking 92?
No. I didn't even know Nasser back then. I didn't know Nasser. Okay. No, he said, I was very insulted because I work very hard and I have good calves, and why you would insinuate that I have. I said, Nasser, don't you think that's if you're not using synthol on your calves, and I think you are using synthol, isn't that a compliment? And he stopped for a second. He's like, and he didn't say anything. I said, you're a smart guy. Isn't that a compliment? Like, if I'm saying
you're a smart guy.
I said, if I think you have fake calves and they're not fake, then that means that they look enormous. Oh yes, I haven't thought of it this way, but yeah, I maybe I jumped the gun too much. So now I had him all juiced up. You know, I had him all like I was stroking his ego a little bit there about how great his calves were. I said, I think your calves might be bigger than Dorian's. And then I was really feeding him a line of,
He was once on, I'm trying to figure out, Dave, he was getting ready for a show, and he was at the Gold's. He was at Gold's Venice, and he was on the treadmill for 3 hours.
Really? 3 hours?
Yes.
Wow.
What speed?
Like one?
Barely on. So it's like, I mean, the slower, like turtle speed.
But his weight, he probably still was burning calories at his weight.
You know what? Okay, Dave, you got it. Someone said to me, I forget who called me because I don't know what year it was. And they said, Nasser has been on there this is going, he's coming up on hour number 3. And they said, the machine is barely moving. And I said, well, listen, if you drive a motorcycle from where I live to Boston, you might burn 10 gallons of fuel. But if you drive an 18-wheeler, even if you barely move the 18-wheeler, even if you go 5 miles an hour, you burn 20 tons as much fuel as a motorcycle.
Absolutely.
So he's probably burning a lot.
He's got to be, I would think.
Or he's got so much synthol in the calves, he just can't walk fast.
Oh my God. Anyway. New York Pro coming up this weekend as well. We have a busy weekend in bodybuilding. Pretty exciting, right? That we actually have a pro show to look forward to.
Only 2 people are allowed in the audience. I'm just kidding.
I wonder what the rules are for
Changing all the time,
for Florida. Isn't it funny how we have so many cases here and there's no restrictions here? Whatsoever.
You have the governor who
he's afraid. Yeah, he wants to get reelected. That's why.
Yeah.
All right, let's look at this. They don't have the New York Pro lineup, so I actually texted Steve Weinberger. Hold on, what's going on here? Where is this? Texted Steve Weinberger. I said, Steve, what's going on with the New York Pro? And he said to me that the list will be out tomorrow. I said, Steve, we're doing kind of radio show tonight to do. Who's in the show? He said, well, John De La Rose is in the show. Let me see what his list was here. Patrick Moore, right? Are you helping Patrick?
Yeah, tremendous.
Okay.
Outstanding.
He looks good. What is he weighing?
I don't know. Stop weighing.
So, Max Charles.
Dangerous.
And he's pretty sure Evan Centopani's doing, which is
wow.
his comeback show. So it's a pretty good lineup.
4 people.
I have Phil Klahar in the lineup as well, who just placed 4th in Tampa. So I think he's going to be a surprise guy. Yeah.
I would agree with you.
So yeah, I think it might be a good show. I don't know who. I'm sure there's going to be some other guys in that show.
Phil Klahar weigh?
Like 258.
Yeah, that's big.
It's big.
What was he last year?
Light in that, but not as conditioned.
Yeah, he was in very good
condition. I think he was good for Tampa. You got to remember, he was ready. He was competing earlier this year.
No,
and then they pulled the plug. So I had to de-peak him and then re-peak him, and he just wasn't. He was good for Tampa, but he wasn't his best. I think he'll be his best here in New York, which is ironic that he lives in Tampa, so it's really convenient. He doesn't have to travel. He didn't have to travel for Tampa. He doesn't have to travel for the New York Pro. It's in Tampa. And they moved the Chicago Pro show. You saw that to Atlanta?
You're kidding me?
Yeah, because they can't hold it in Chicago. They got too many rules and regulations there.
I know that. When did they move it?
Tim Gardner just this past week moved it.
Damn.
So it's happening same weekend. It's just going to be in Atlanta, which is probably easier to get to, I would think. Well, it depends, I guess, where you're coming from. But
yeah,
look, these promoters are jumping through hoops, but they're making it happen. I was talking to Gary about it. Gary's like, look, the great thing that we really have to be thankful for, and he's right, is that Jake Wood is running the Olympia now. Because if AMI was running the Olympia, they wouldn't be in Olympia this year.
because what's his face got canned?
Well, even if Packer didn't get that fired, AMI would never have held the Olympia. They would have canceled it, So the fact that Jake Wood now owns the Olympia, he's a bodybuilder at heart. I mean, he's a fan at heart. He's a bodybuilder at heart. He loves the sport. He said he will make this show will happen. So come high or low water, there's going to be an Olympia, So there might not be any audience there, but there's going to be an Olympia, So that's good news for bodybuilding, especially since Phil Heath's coming back. It's the most exciting thing to happen to bodybuilding in the whole year, at least. So I was talking to one of my Saudi connections. He said there was a debate. They have a little private WhatsApp group they talked about, and they were debating, I guess, how Brandon's going to do. And I guess Brandon's trainer, Abdullah, was saying that there's no way Brandon's going to lose. Phil will never beat him. He's the best trainer, la-da-da-da-da. So this guy I'm friends with, supposedly, this is, I didn't see the actual chat, but he said this is the story I'm getting. Told Abdullah that he would bet him $100,000 that Phil will beat Brandon. So Abdullah supposedly was taking the bet, and supposedly it was going to be a third party that actually held the money. So that, this one gives $100,000, this one gives $100,000. Whoever wins, the third party gives it to the winner to make sure that everyone gets paid. Because people don't pay on a $100,000 bet. So this guy sends the $100,000 to the third party, And then Abdullah says, "Oh no, I thought it was for $10,000."
Well, what's the matter if you?
And
Confident
then
that you
he's
get
backed out of the $10,000 too. So there's no bet. I guess Abdullah's not as confident as he was liking to believe. He said that he's the best trainer out there. But Chris and Chad, they're no match for him. So
Well,
we'll see what happens if Sean Roden and Ramy's in the show. Although you say Ramy's not working with Chad anymore? Is that the rumor?
no, I hear rumors. You know,
What's the rumor?
I heard he was working with Milos.
Oh, really? Would that be like his 10th trainer?
But I mean, of course, you can't be surprised if that's the truth.
I'll tell you one thing. His strategy might be that to become the greatest trainer of all time. He can cull everyone's, from every single trainer he's worked with. He knows everyone's protocols, right?
With Chris, I cut the sodium.
Right. With Milos, I take the insulin. With the Dennis James, I do this.
But look, Phil is shown time and time again that he's hard to beat. I mean,
it's going to be no walk in the park. We know that. Has Curry even ever beaten Phil? No,
not even got to punch him.
Mm-mm.
I mean, that's what you can say. Whether even previous to Sean beating Phil, that he's gotten some punches in. 2015, 2016. Phil's shown that he's hard to beat. That's why I said ask Ramy, ask Phil, ask Dexter,
Right.
ask Bonac, ask Curry, ask Rowley. I mean, the list goes on.
Yeah, he's beaten them all pretty handily the last 7 years.
So he has to be considered. He has to be considered the heavy favorite.
Yeah. Well, the difference is also he didn't lose because he had like half a lat like Ronnie did, or half a bicep like Dorian. He had a distension, an aesthetic problem, basically what it amounted to. And Sean just was at his best. And then
he
timing
lost.
was right.
I was just going to say, Dave, you took the words. He lost because of timing, meaning Sean was at his. If Sean was not at his absolute best, he would not have won. You could rewind it to 15. Sean was at that point in his career was at his absolute best, and Phil wasn't until Saturday night. I mean, the timing.
Right.
So you have to be consistent both nights. And there's just so much that goes on to winning that show.
Yeah, no, you're right. Anyway, getting back to New York Pro, where do you think, given who we have mentioned, and I think there's probably a couple of names probably that we haven't, that will be on that list that we're not going to be talking about yet, but, given if we have an Evan Santopani in the lineup, I don't know how his quad looks ever since he had the tore the quad a few years ago. I'm sure it looks good, but Evan wouldn't compete if it didn't. We have John De La Rosa, who's always a threat up there. We have obviously Patrick Moore, who's was the man of the talk of the town last year.
I think he'll be the talk of the town again.
Max Charles is always dangerous.
Max Charles is dangerous too. Depends on at that show. It depends who's at their best.
It's a good matchup because no one's really hands above the other ones.
They all have weaknesses.
Yeah.
I mean, everybody has weaknesses. Period.
Yeah.
And there's not somebody like.
Well, let's go through every person. What's Max Charles' weakness? His legs?
Back.
His back? His weakness?
Back double doesn't have detail. Hamstrings and glutes are vaguely there.
I think it's the lower part that's probably his problem. Yeah. What's John De La Rosa? He's pretty balanced. I mean, if he
De La Rosa is extremely balanced.
Conditioning, maybe if he doesn't bring that.
Conditioning, paper thin skin. If it comes down to that,
he could win the show if he brings it.
Good for sure.
What's Patrick Moore's weakness?
Overall size, but probably be hidden with outrageous condition.
Yeah. He's
in an
Olympia lineup. He's got toughness. It's tough because he's not big enough yet. But I mean, I don't know. He must have put on some size over the course of the last year, I'm sure.
Well, I mean, it hasn't even been a year. He did the Olympia, he did the Arnold, and he did this. But he's bigger.
Yeah.
He's bigger. He's denser. But we're going for condition.
Right.
I'll let that dice roll this week.
Right. And Evan said the Potty,
Just,
potentially
I
his
know.
leg.
Oh,
Potentially
just,
his leg.
Yeah. I mean, hasn't been on stage, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? It's hard to.
But that's been his whole career. He never really competed.
Well, I mean, you haven't competed much, but also if you haven't been on stage for a long period of time, sometimes it's just hard to peak your body because you haven't done it.
Right. It's funny how I haven't even seen. I don't think he's even put a picture on his Instagram. Basically.
Yeah, he had a back shot somewhere. Someone sent me.
Yeah, but was that recent?
Yeah, it was recent. The shoulders and arms were insane.
Well, the shoulders and arms are always insane. But I'm looking at his Instagram. I don't really see.
What do you see? Cabbage and salmon?
No, yeah, pretty much. I see all the old
cabbage,
pictures.
salmon, a tractor.
Everything's a flashback.
And probably the animal pack. Something.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the name of the company he's been with for 20 years?
Animal. Universal Nutrition.
Universal.
He's lucky. They even put him on the containers. They use his image. They're not letting him go anytime soon. They're very loyal to their people. Vinny Galante worked for them for like 25 years too. They stick with someone and they use him. So I guess that's good for Evan. He's a good looking guy. He's a marketable guy. So you don't have to compete to be a image of a product line. They probably use him more now than they did when he actually was first coming up.
You're right.
I always used to say to him, how come they don't put you on any ads? I used to be like all the time. He's like, well, I don't know. They have these weird ads they run. They don't really put people's pictures in there. They'll put they'll use an arm.
That's a company that's been around a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, they were around from probably one of the first companies ever, right? Along with Twin Lab back in those days. So I remember from when I first started lifting, they had animal packs back then.
Yeah.
It's like 400 pills you had to take.
Yeah, that was their thing. Yeah.
I think they still do. Actually, I think they gave up. I was looking the other day at their website. I think they only do powders now. I think everything's like powderized now.
Why? Because people will probably choke on all those pills.
Probably. I don't think those pills ever dissolve.
So they had a pack. Some of the pills look like a pill that you would give a horse, right?
Yeah. Well, they were tablets, and the tablets don't really dissolve very easily. So I think that they found the powder, and the powders are probably cheaper to make. Once you put everything in capsules, and it's a pain in the neck. So, hey, you got to evolve with the times, right? So, look, it works. I think they probably sell more overseas than they do domestically. I think that's where they're really strong because they always do FIBO and all those big shows overseas. Although FIBO is canceled this year, we may never see another FIBO again.
You may be right.
It's crazy. When you think
You're
about
going to get 100,000 people under one roof. For the next year? No. That's the crazy thing. We're not going to be here like in 2021 and say, oh, everything's fine. You're going into the Arnold? Yeah.
Right.
Pre-production sold out. 4,400 people.
It's never going to be the same, I think. It'll go back to being close, but it won't be the same. Who knows when they're going to tell everyone that it's okay to actually, interact with other people again, Romano claims it's after the election. He goes, everything's going to be fine.
Yeah, of course.
He said, when the election's over, there'll be no more restrictions on anyone. Yeah. I said, I hope you're right. I said, I don't think you're right, but I hope you're right. Speaking of restrictions, my theory is that I don't even know if I said this earlier. I don't even want to put it out there because
No, I'm not putting it
out there because
it's a Bill Gates theory.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about Ric Drasin again. I was thinking about Rick and his cause of death. But so Steve Weinberg is holding the show, and you got to take your hat off to Steve too. And I'll tell you why. Because Gary is making money. Obviously, it's application fees, right? What is it, $250 or something like that per person? Do the math. There'll be money made. Yeah. Steve is holding a pro show. These athletes don't pay entry fees. There's no audience that I know. Well, there's probably a limited audience, I would think.
There's a venue that costs the same whether you have no audience.
I can't see him making any money, and I'm sure he's doing it just because we need a New York pro and we need to have some qualifiers for the Olympia. So you got to really say, good job, Steve. I mean, I know Steve's made a lot of money over the years and everything like that, but this was a rough year for him. His gym wasn't open for 6 months. He hasn't held a single show since the beginning of the year. So this is really a labor of love he's doing, because there's no money to be made at the show. He could only lose at this show. Hopefully they can somehow he can get some of the amateur shows of his off. I don't know. Are they still holding the Team Universe, or is that canceled?
I don't know. Really, I don't.
Look at his
You know what,
website.
Dave? I almost gave up trying to keep. Well, I did give up trying to keep track because everyone I know who was competing in a show anywhere on this earth has had it either postponed or canceled. I'm serious, with the exception of the New York Pro and the Tampa. Those are the only really two shows. Well, actually, we had the Omaha this past weekend, or the Savannah and the Omaha. I mean, there's been some shows.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there have been some shows.
Yeah, I feel
right.
good. He's got a couple shows in October. Yeah, he's got a couple shows in October. Team Universe is rescheduled for November 12th through the 14th. So that's a big show for him. So
yeah. Well, that'll be like North America with a zillion.
Although I don't know where they're going to hold it. They usually hold it in Jersey. I don't even know if they'll be able to. Those poor guys at Attila's gym?
Yes.
Oh, I feel bad for them. Yeah, they were being fined $500 a day. They lost their business license. So one of these guys running for Senate made their gym a campaign headquarters.
Yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, well, he did that. But then the gym's open. They actually have people working out there. So it's not technically a gym. So they.
It's a what?
It's a campaign headquarters
that has fitness equipment in it.
Right. These guys are. I mean, I take my hat off to them. I would not want to get into
looking for a little loophole in the law.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to get into this.
Have a campaign office and then have a gym. I mean, exercise equipment.
There's nothing worse than antagonizing the governor of the state. That you have to hold your business in. They might as well just move to Florida at this point and open a gym down there. Move the whole gym. So that's that. So, but what else was going on with you guys?
We had you didn't review the Savannah.
Oh, right. You're right. We did have that. Hold on.
And the Classic. And
you're right. Thank you. I'm glad that you reminded me. The Lenda Murray, Savannah Pro. Lenda's a big contest promoter now. All right. Let's see. Let's put this up here on the screen here. Isn't it funny that Lenda is the only Miss Olympia that really promotes shows and is involved in the whole.
Kim and Chad have.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I always think
Chad
Chad.
For a long time, just not a pro show.
Yeah.
Although they did have a pro show because they had that crazy lighting that people love.
Divine Wilson finally gets the win. Chris, he'll be going to the Olympia. Tony Tavares second. Third place, Jonathan Hambrick, your guy. Were you disappointed or?
No, I mean, I thought he looked tremendous. I thought he looked tremendous. I just, Divine Wilson looked tremendous, and the guy who got second, who I don't know, looked tremendous as well.
Martin Daniels fourth, and then fifth was Amit Roy. Yeah. What do you think? Let's see. Pull some pictures up here. Hold on.
Yeah, you tell me. You tell me, because and I'll bet you $100,000 that you're wrong.
I should really talk about the Junior USA was this past weekend.
That's right. The Junior USA was this weekend. See, shows are going off galore, Dave.
Here, I was ready to wrap the show up, and I
know.
mentioned.
Oh, by the way, the Junior USA and the Lenda Murray Pro Show happened. Okay, let's spend 2.5 minutes on it.
Yeah. Well, the show. What the shows are so when the shows are too big, it's like you don't even want to do anything with it because it's too big. But
well, you don't have to cover all the classes. But
all right, hold on. Let's look at this here. I don't even know.
Where are you getting it? William, what, the NPC News?
Yeah, I don't know if I'm looking for pictures. I don't see them.
NPC News
they're not up yet.
Very good pictures. No, NPC News.
Oh, they do?
News has great
I see the IFBB Pacific USA Pro. Ashley Caldwell won another show. I think this is her 21st show.
Yeah, this year.
Crazy. No, not this year.
I know.
And they all have masks on. Did you see this picture?
I did see it. Someone sent it to me.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Where was that show held, Dave?
It's somewhere. I think was it in California?
Yeah, because in California they get crazy about the masks.
Where was that? Hold on.
Next they're going to come for your computers and your guns. They have to making you wear a mask.
How funny is that? It really levels the playing field for some of these girls, though, right? Because like it takes the beauty factor out of it. No, it does. Some girls are really good looking, and it helps their placing in bikini. You can't see
Makes
their
you
face.
only look at the wet neck down now.
Well, now you can only see the body. Yeah, believe me, there was a girl. There was a female who used to compete years ago. I'm not going to say who she was. I'm not going to mention it. She was not attractive, but she had the best physique, I thought, up there. And I used to sit with Jam. I'm like, man, if this girl was better looking, she'd be Miss Olympia. He's like, you're right. So she would be doing great. She'd be doing awesome if this was the case. Oh my God, Chris. We can't make this stuff up. All right, let me see if I can find that London. It's on NPC, the London Murray show?
NPC News. I've already looked at the pictures. They're great pictures.
I don't know why I can't find it.
NPC News online.
I'm on it.
Google it.
I'm looking for the pictures. Was the Optimum Classic this past weekend too? Holy mackerel. Yeah. Jam was there interviewing people. That's why I can't see it, because there's so many interviews from that show.
I think you click on the London Murray Savannah, and then you can, let's say, galleries here or something.
Let me see if I can find it. They got a lot of Junior USA coverage. That's the problem. Jam interviewed everyone there. So, look, I can't be. Let's talk about the Junior USA for now. We'll go back to the other one. Kyle Puckett won the overall. See this guy?
Put the picture up, David. I'll tell you.
The picture up.
Tell you the good, the bad, the ugly.
Okay. He's the overall champ.
That's good. Good, sweet.
You got to remember, the overall men's bodybuilding champion does not get a pro card at the Junior USA. We've complained about this for years.
Yeah, big out. Yeah.
Is this the overall shot? Hold on. No. Let's look at the super heavyweight.
Thick.
Cedric, his name is.
This guy's thick.
Cedric Scott.
Thick, hard, good legs.
Good arms.
Crazy arms.
Yeah. Let's go back. I'll take a look at who won the Chris Hobbs is the heavyweight. Let's take a shot. Good conditioning, structure not great. Let's see. Oh, very weak bodybuilding. Look at this. There's like no one in the bodybuilding show.
That's called the writing on the wall, Dave.
Well, they didn't give a pro card, so no one wants to do it.
No matter. Sorry to be the announcer of bad news for bodybuilding. I've been saying that for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Reluctantly so, and I mean it.
Here's your classic winner, Al Green. Really good, right?
Looks fabulous. This kid's great.
I'm shocked that he hasn't called you yet. This is a typical like Aceto client.
Paper. Yeah, totally. Round.
Good arms, like those crazy arms. Flary quads. Good separation.
Probably looks 10 times better in real life too.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, look, we're see. This just goes to show you, if they're going to give a pro card, you get the best people out there. If you don't give a pro card, no one wants to do it. It's just the way it goes.
Well, it's like
That's the society we live in now. Back in the day, you would happy to place, top 5 at the Junior USA.
Oh, God.
That was you would be like, yeah, it was a huge accomplishment. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, they would be like, man, you did it great. You should be proud of yourself.
You know, the competition was so crazy. It's, this year you can make maybe you get, top 10 at the nationals. You got 4th at the juniors. Maybe if you're lucky, you'll crack the top 10.
Exactly. You're right.
No, they'd make you do the right, Dave. It was so competitive. People don't know that it was so deep, so many competitors per class. They do the quarter turns as a cutoff, right?
Yep. And you walked up the stage, and you didn't even do prejudging. That was it. Top 15.
You didn't hit a front double.
Yeah.
Say, Dave, you did. How did your front double look? I don't.
I never. Luckily, I always make the top 15. I got to be honest. That was I never experienced the see you next year from them. Thank God. Now I found the Savannah Pro show pictures. Let's look at Divine Wilson, who won the show, who looked tremendous here. I think this is his best he's looked, Chris.
I do too.
I mean, just really. I mean, you can't take it away from the guy. I mean, he was.
Yeah,
I've never seen him clean before.
Yeah, clean lines in the quads. Good
That's
abs,
what we look for.
full pecs.
Let me pull up a comparison shot also.
Yeah, go through the compulsory.
Yeah, there's a good comparison shot right there. There's Hamburg in the middle.
But that's not the first call out. You have to click
it's
in.
not? Okay.
No.
Let me pull the comparison shots. Hold on. All right, you know what I'm going to have to do? I have to pull it up separately. Hold on. Let me get a good shot. Hambrick looks so impressive. I'm sorry, I'm not showing you the pictures. He looks so impressive in those in the call-outs.
Well, the height and the frame.
I don't know how he doesn't win these shows, because you know what? It's like you don't want to even look at anyone else.
He's pretty zippered at the show too.
I will say Divine is good, but all right, I'll pull this picture up. Let me pull this thing up here.
Dave, you don't know.
I mean, Hamburg looks pretty good in that picture right there. All the way to the left.
Yeah, he looks like he's like 6'9".
and you can tell he's squatting down a little bit too.
Yeah.
But all those guys are pretty tall in that picture.
Yeah.
I'm shocked that he got fourth here.
Third.
Or third.
Third.
I could almost make a case for second, but let me pull up a back shot.
You sound like Jose.
Was he there?
No, that's what Jose said.
Let me pull up a back shot.
Well, the abs. His abs are just wacky.
Yeah.
Not that it's an ab show,
No.
but his glutes and hams are wacky too.
He's like a Levrone. It takes forever to get into a shot, this kid.
Yeah,
There's a 400 transition shots. Do you notice that?
yeah. Levrone would take forever, right?
Remember they would yell at him.
Yes, I
Emilio
know.
would yell at him, like, hit the
And
shot
Levrone,
already.
who could care less, right? Levrone
Yeah. He didn't
screaming at him, like, yeah, right, whatever.
So
doing it that way.
that's Divine to the second in the middle to the
He's-
left.
Yeah, he's thick.
And then you got Hamburg to the left of him, and then you got the second place guy to the right. I can't judge from pictures. It's hard.
Yeah, because you keep going to you keep getting it wrong.
No, because you know what the problem is, because you're not there in person.
No,
so.
I know it's not the same. I look at food pictures online, then I go to restaurants.
When you analyze the pictures, okay, as his coach, I mean, what do you see would you like to see better?
Thickness is the only thing you can. I mean,
is that why Divine wins here? Because he's got the thick upper back.
Yeah, he's got the thick upper back. I mean, I'll try to defend Jonathan and say, he's got striated lower lats in the back double, and his glutes and hams are chiseled.
Yeah,
and he's got a good V taper on it. You know what I mean?
And Tony Tavares in second is no joke.
No, he looks very good as well. Very, very good. Very good.
I'm gonna pull up a good picture. Hold on, a Divine here 1 second.
I mean, they're all very good, but
yeah, there's no doubt about that.
I think it might come down to muscle size. I think
I think Divine has also paid his dues a little bit too. He had some close calls all the way. Look at that shot.
Yeah, it looks tremendous in that shot.
A lot of separation. He did his homework here. He came in. When you lose to a guy who looks like this, you really can't be too
No,
concerned.
you're right. You're right.
How old is Hamburg now? He's still really young, isn't
22.
he? He'll be deadly in like 2 years. Will he still be able to make the weight class, you think?
Oh yeah, he's got plenty of yeah.
Because of his height, right?
Yeah.
Because of his height.
Yeah, Dave. The height gives him like an extra. He can fill out like another.
He could weigh like 260 on stage, probably.
He'll be dangerous. He'll be if he puts on 4 pounds between now and the Olympia with this conditioning.
Yeah.
And he can just by because he's 22. You know what I mean? When you're 22, things like happening by the month.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Like
right.
that was a day. I remember that year. I cheated every day for a month, and I gained 22. But you know, how it goes.
Well, you could actually you can gain muscle between shows, like when you're there, right? Remember Levrone between the 91 junior nationals and the nationals was like 8 weeks, and he gained like 10 pounds of muscle, something like that.
Insane. It was insane.
All right, let's look at Ashley Hadley, the female bodybuilder who won. This, I have to say, this is probably one of the first female bodybuilders this year that I'm actually like kind of impressed with the way she looks.
Oh yeah, I know exactly who you mean. She looks very good.
Yeah,
and I agree. Shape.
She's in good shape, and she's she's actually has a nice muscle. It looks fresh.
Great thighs. Yeah, great thighs. Great outer thigh sweep.
Gary and I were talking on Gary Udit on the interview we did, and we were saying how Tyler and him are now like really talking to these women's physique girls that are coming up and saying, "Hey, why didn't I do well?" And he's like, "Do women's bodybuilding. We're pushing a lot of people into bodybuilding." I said,
Dave, you've been saying that for 2 years, Dave.
Yeah. Well, Gary, why don't you just combine the divisions at this point? I don't make the rules. Gary, he was bowing out of that one right quick. But it's true. I mean, they should combine the division. But if they don't, and they're going to keep the two, a lot of these women's physique girls should just go into bodybuilding at this point. Jake's giving away a ton of money for prize money at the Olympia. Yeah, so you'd be crazy not to someone like Asha. She's perfect. I mean, there's a lot of girls out there that easily can cross over and do well in women's bodybuilding. These girls are afraid. They think the women's bodybuilders are that big. Who would they have to be afraid of? The only person that they really should be afraid of is Iris Kyle, and Iris is not 30 years old anymore.
Well, yeah, she's not as big as you think. She's conditioned.
She's just really conditioned, right? She's got a good structure too, obviously, but she's won 10 Olympias already. It's not like she's not like fresh off the press, so to speak. Yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, look, they're going to do whatever they want to do. I don't think that it's warranted to have two divisions at this point. I told Gary that. I said, Gary, there's no distinction. Unless you guys are going to start marking these women's physique girls down for being too big and too hard, then it's meaningless to have two divisions, What they really should do, and we've said this before, Chris, is they should just make it like classic bodybuilding. They should make a height weight restriction. This way the girls can't get any bigger than a certain amount. That would certainly limit the size of them. And then now you have two separate divisions. You have bodybuilding, get as big as you want. You have, women's physique, you have to be a certain weight for your height,
I think it's a good idea.
Right. I mean, that makes sense.
Makes sense to me.
I mean, that's the only way to limit them, because if you tell the judges to limit them,
they can't.
It does it for a show, one or two shows, and then it goes right back to what it was. Because a judge looks at someone and they want to vote for the best person on stage.
Yeah.
So they can't just say, well, we're going to mark this girl down even though she's the best one on stage.
You're the best one, too muscular.
Right. So what you do is you put a limit on the weight, and then if they can't make the weight, then that's the limit right there. And that's what they're doing for the classic bodybuilding. It's working great, right? I mean, right? No one's getting out of control in classic bodybuilding because you can't. Yeah,
it is working good.
So,
all right. Well, just as I said, glutes and hams would become like peeled out. Right? You see these guys, the top three in the show, top five.
You said that would be the biggest mistake in classic to make it a glutes and ham show. It's back to a glutes and ham show.
Yeah. Well, in lieu of it. I was wrong, because it's fine because they're rewarding still the whole body.
Yeah.
Sometimes in bodybuilding, you can have the greatest glutes and hams and you destroy people with no glutes and hams, and your development's terrible.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Here, they're taking everything into consideration still, because I still see people without great glutes and hams, but better classic bodybuilders beating people with better glutes and hams. if that makes sense.
Well, structure is much more important
Yes.
than classic, I would say.
Yeah, they're weighing that still heavily, which is what you're looking at Hamburg.
True.
You're looking at the condition and the structure, and probably the size still. I think
He's got a big frame. He's got to fill it out still.
Right.
Once he does, he might be Mr. Olympia.
Yeah.
If he does.
Yeah. Well,
We're still waiting for Ramy to win the Olympia. So
well,
how many years have we been waiting? 10 years?
10, 11 coaches, 10 years.
11 coaches, 10 years. And he didn't even compete 1 year.
Yeah.
He didn't even compete in 19. All right. Well, you know what? I want to send out the condolences once again to Ric Drasin's family, and it's very sad that we lost him, but he was a good guy, and a lot of people are going to miss him and miss his channel. Channel will still be there, but obviously we won't see any new interviews. And of course, good luck to all the competitors that are going to be doing the New York Pro this weekend and the North American Championships. Hopefully, Gary will have a live stream so we can check that out. And I don't know, is New York having a live stream? I don't even know. I forgot to ask Steve. I would assume they probably would be because.
Audience,
because
you got to.
Yeah, the only thing we'll be able to tell is pictures from one photographer that'll probably be there.
Dave, yeah. No, I'm laughing because pictures they're not always what the show looks like.
This is like the old days, Chris. When remember you'd go to a show in the 90s, all you'd have is like a little. You remember the cameras, the throwaway cameras? You'd be like this big in the picture, and it was blurry at that. So, all right, guys, you know what to do. It's that time again. Heavy Muscle Radio.
The truth hurts.
Good night, everyone, and we'll see you next week. Good luck to all the competitors this coming weekend. Hopefully, we're going to see some great Olympia qualifiers.